Hello, I just punched myself in the face. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I read a lot of books. I already tried to make this video, but my memory card failed on me. So let's try this again, shall we? So today's book is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, and you've got your front cover there. I really enjoyed this one as somebody who loves a good murder mystery. This was right up my alley. It's a really short blurb, so I'll just get that on with now. In a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim and Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Short and sweet. What did I say? It's 336 pages in comedy, dark humour, contemporary fiction, crime and thriller, detective, family sagas, general fiction, humorous fiction and literary fiction. It was released in 2020, so it's a fairly new one, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was just right up my alley with the murder mystery, the fact that it's just so British, and it was written by Richard Osman, so at the beginning I had his voice in my head reading it to me. He's got such a clear way of writing, and he's got his very own kind of style of writing, which I really enjoyed seeing just his method in a way. He's just got a very clear voice throughout it, which isn't off-putting. It's just like, yeah, he's got a particular style of writing that's his. You know, sometimes when you read a book and just like, yeah, this feels like whoever. It's just like my Tess Gerritsen books, like it's very clear that she had her own style of writing with the way that she writes her books. And Richard Osman, he's got such a clever way of writing. Because it's so English, I mean, it's set in a retirement village, which just, how more British can you get when it comes to a murder mystery? It's definitely got kind of Agatha Christie type feel to it. It's basically, it kind of makes me think of Marple. You know, how Miss Marple isn't actually a detective or anything. She's just like an old lady who just really wants to get into the thick of it. And that's what these 4 are doing. They have their Thursday Murder Club, where they use one of the halls at their retirement village to go in and look at cold cases, and then a murder happens on their doorstep and they use all their resources to investigate what's going on. And the way I describe this book, I've described other books as puzzles. So this one's threads. It's threads. You've got all these seemingly independent threads coming through, and then as you kind of go through the book you realise there's one massive knot tying them all together. As you go through the story, bits get unravelled and you realise the connection, and every single question you have throughout the book gets answered, which I love, because I'll admit it is cool to have a book that has a bit of a question mark at the end and it's not all neatly tied up in a bow. I think it's kind of clever with certain stories, but with this one it just gives you everything you want. It's very reminiscent of, as I said, Miss Marple in a way, and then also Midsummer Murders, your classic British murder mystery. You've got it in there. I'll admit I had a bit of Caldecott's Cabbage War in my head. If you've seen that movie, I saw that it got 1 star from like BBC Films, and it's just like, how dare you, that was a brilliant film, it was so good and so funny. But because of that, I can imagine just absolutely anybody playing these roles, but specifically I can imagine Pauline Collins playing Elizabeth, because Elizabeth is the character that kind of takes control of everything. She's the one that's got contacts in high places. Like, she can say to Joyce, who has her own story happening through her diary. Each character's got their own little way of telling their story, and for Joyce it's all done in diary form. Like, she literally ends chapters by saying, oh, there's a ring at the doorbell, I'm just going to go answer it, bye. It's like she's talking to you. As I said, I can imagine Pauline Collins playing Elizabeth. I'm not really sure how I can imagine playing Joyce, but Joyce is the one that's kind of like in for the ride. Like, she just wants to be involved. She just wants to be involved, but you are getting the majority of the story through Joyce, I felt. I felt that even though everybody's telling that story, you get a lot of it through Joyce, and she's the one that's observing the majority of it. Well, everybody else seems to have a little parts where they're actively involved in everything. Joyce is the one that's sitting back watching it all going, isn't this cool, isn't this cool? And I bet Elizabeth is going to call me tomorrow and say that we're off to Greece, and yes, it does happen like that. And yeah, I'm trying to think about who I can imagine Joyce being played by, but I'm not really sure. To be honest, I kind of think Maggie Smith would be really good in that. You know, the kind of person who's just like, oh, I'm on for the ride. But it was just such a good book. It's just so funny, and as you guys know, if you've been watching me for a while, I love my murder mysteries. I love them. I've grown up watching Poirot and just anything Agatha Christie, to be honest, but in my house it was always about Poirot, Midsummer Murders, Miss Marple, just the classic English murder mysteries, how British can you get type situation. It was adorable. It's weird to say that about a book that's about a murder mystery, but it is, and there's some really heartwarming stories in there. There's a storyline in there which I think kind of made me cry a little bit, and it's also the fact that the way that these four interact with the police is just hilarious. There's a guy, Chris, who is like the lead detective on everything, and he soon finds out that one of his police officers is essentially a member of the Thursday Murder Club, and so he gets kind of roped into just telling these four elderly people anything and everything about the cases that they're investigating in regards to the local murder. And it comes to the point when they're just like, no, we can't tell them this stuff anymore because they're going to go off and do their own bloody investigation. They're going to solve it before we do. But yeah, it was such a good book. Thursday Murder Club, Richard Osman, just so clever, so funny. And just go read it for all the reasons I just said. I feel like these videos get shorter and shorter, but I feel like I can't tell you much about what's happening in this book. I will say that it starts off with the death of a man called Ian Bentham, who is trying to expand the retirement village, but everybody hates him. Everybody hates him. Everybody hates him. It's a kind of, again, as I said about the Agatha Christie stuff, it felt very Murder on the Orient Express because everybody has a motive to kill this guy. So they're not trying to work out who did it. They're trying to work out who didn't do it because everybody had a reason to hate him. From that, you then kind of unravel all the other threads and figure out how it's all connected, and it all goes back to another death in the 70s, and they're trying to work out who in the retirement village was there then, who is still there. You've got so many little red herrings about who's who, and there's one character in particular that they've been searching for years, and they have no idea where he is. Eventually you do get the answer, but as I'm going through, I was suspecting everybody. I really was. But yeah, it's just so clever, it's so funny, and the fact that you just got four people in a retirement village who would just being their own little Miss Marples, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea, and I cannot wait for the next one because this is going to be a series. The next one in this series is The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, and at the moment I think it's getting ready to be available on audiobook. I think I prefer to read it though. By the way, if you don't know who Richard Osman is, I think most people know him from Pointless on the BBC, that he kind of co-hosts with Alexander Armstrong. Very tall man. Just so good, so funny. There's a book on here called The Christie Affair, which is intriguing to me. Oh my god, you'll just see me become completely enthralled with another book called The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont, a stunning novel that reimagines the unexplained 11-day disappearance of Agatha Christie that captivated the world. She turned up in a hotel in Harrogate that I've done quite a few murder mysteries in. I'm reserving that. Give me a murder mystery, you've got a very happy Debs. Anyway, I feel like it's getting darker and darker and darker because it's like 9 o'clock at night and I need to go breakfast. I've got loads of clothes on my bed that I need to put away. I'm at work tomorrow. It's going to be a long one tomorrow as well because we've got an event after work. But anyway, I'll say goodbye. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye, my lovelies.